like to welcome to the Columbia 911 Advisory Committee meeting. Today is January 30th, 12:01. I'm Danielle Hooper, the Operations Manager for the district, and I'm going to be facilitating today's meeting in the absence of our Executive Director, Mike. Staff that we have present today are Parks Living Facilities Specialist, Nathan Hughes, Technical Manager, Mary Jo Beck, Office Specialist, and Mickey Nichols, our Chief Financial Officer. And if we could have other members and people that are present start introducing themselves and what agency they're with. You want to start with you, Josh?
Josh Marks, Assistant Chief, Scappoose Fire.
Brian Pixley, Columbia County Sheriff.
Barry Bartolomechi, Columbia City.
Sean Carnahan, Vernonia Police Department.
And this is Corey.
And Corey Padron, Columbia County Emergency Manager.
And then we have people online.
You want to read it all?
We do, in attendance online, I show Jose Castilleja, Grant DeJong, Jeff Olson, and Will Steinweg. And a Darlene I'm trying to place.
All right, and any public that are here, you'd like to give your name?
Excuse me, Tyler Miller, City of Scappoose, a resident and city councilor for City of Scappoose.
Janine Weber, Senior Account Executive from L3 Harris.
I'm Josette Mitchell. I'm the city administrator for the city of Vernonia.
Jason Kester, Day Wireless Systems.
Jeremy Hazenkamp, board position 2 for Columbia County 911 District.
All right, thank you, everyone. Before we proceed, we need to approve the minutes from October 31st, 2023. These were posted online. We have a moment to look at them. If anybody would like to make a motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve minutes from October 31st, 2023.
Thank you, Josh. Is there a second?
This is Will Steinweg, I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Motion is approved. Moving on to annual appointment of committee members and alternatives. In the December meeting, the Board of Directors approved Corey Padron, Emergency Management Director, as a member of the advisory committee. Is there any other notifications that will need to be made from any of your agencies about any changes? All right, and moving on to election of advisory committee positions. We have a nomination for chair. This was something that we didn't get done at the last meeting. It was tabled for this one. And you'll let me know if anybody online. Can of course take a moment to think about it. You're nominating Sheriff Pixley. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, Pixley for chair. I believe that has to be brought to the board for approval. No, it does not. Never mind. Your chair. And vice chair. Any nominations for vice chair of the advisory committee?
I'll nominate Will Steinweg. Next.
Will Simon, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Corey. It's seconded. Any discussion? Will, you are now vice chair. So at this moment, Sheriff Pixley, if you'd like to come sit next to me and run the rest of the meeting.
That's a threat.
It's an invitation.
I've known her too long.
You're out of time. Okay, you can take your track. Nobody a fat guy chair over. Oh, okay. I need one of those too.
long as you don't hit anybody else
That's
head.
okay. This
Sure.
is first distribution as well. So,
Screw it up together.
yes.
It's awesome.
Just be more careful this time, don't hit anybody else.
Oh, it's the only person I'm gonna pass is use.
Well, I mean, you got Mickey and,
I'm not gonna touch that. When was the last time you made me mad, Joe? When was the last time you made me mad?
Ah,
It's been a while.
it's been a while.
So it actually starts pretty easy. The first thing that you're gonna have me do is,
It's updates by Danielle Hooper.
I actually was absent from our most recent board meetings, and some illness in my families. So my update was given by Mike at the last meeting. Staffing levels are unchanged. We have a hiring update. We're very happy with the number of applications that we got this time around, 36 applications when we opened hiring. That is more than double what we've been seeing in the last few years. And we have 3 applicants in backgrounds. We have 1 in training that is halfway through and she's doing great. I wanted to talk about our winter weather event. Staff were working at pretty extreme hours, and we had 2 employees that were injured off duty, off the premise due to the weather events, which caused a lot of impact to the schedule, and staff did great. We actually had beds here in the building for people to stay the night. Proud of our staff for how they handled things. And that is a very brief update, so.
It's for your. Not later, but our weather stuff, how we.
Yeah.
All right, what's in the technology briefing? Nathan.
So since everybody's been in the room, we've upgraded our Vesta phone system. So we're on a newer version of that. We're looking into command posts, which are basically laptops we can take anywhere and use to take calls. So if this place starts flooding or we need to evacuate dispatch, we can take calls outside of this building. Or if we have a major incident, we can have more people on the floor taking calls. We've upgraded the servers hosting CAD. There was a technical issue, and there'll be more on that later, which prolonged the outage of certain components within CAD. We are working with a mobile user group for the Magix group to design the new MDTs, which should hopefully be coming out here in the next couple months. And then we're also upgrading the admin phone system here. Any questions?
We go to director's report as well.
I am,
Perfect.
unless you wanted to.
Please, Danielle.
So Mike gave me his report. Some of them I'm actually gonna just read because it's about our CAD service interruption on January 10th and 11th. And there's some good facts in here from Mike. On the morning of January 10th, the Magix group conducted its regular software security patching to the CAD servers. This process is scheduled each month and takes a total of between 20 and 30 minutes to complete. During that downtime, all Magix PSAPs go into a manual mode where the call takers and dispatchers practice their skills in the event of an unplanned outage. CAD consists of dozens, 35 or so, of both actual physical servers and virtual servers located in 2 different locations. At the conclusion of the patch installation, the servers were attempted to be brought back up and the SD-WANs began their restarts. SD-WANs is software-defined wide area networking and is an automated programmatic approach to managing enterprise network connectivity and circuit costs. It extends software-defined networking into an application that we can use to quickly create a smart hybrid WAN. This process failed. The hub restart could not make its connection to the switch. Another component of our infrastructure is a piece of middleware that is located at LOCOM, which is Lake Oswego. This is a component is called the witness that acts as basically the arbitrator for determining which CAD stack is primary, as it can and does change. This too was not recognizing the attempts to restart and establish the connection. After the event, it was determined that a switch that sits as a gateway between the 2 CAD hubs had failed. During attempts to restore service, a storage array located at WACA, Washington County's dispatch center, subsequently failed. At the time of this writing, which I have no different information, it has not been determined why either of these pieces of equipment failed and their individual manufacturers are inspecting these devices. At the time of the failure, the technical team was thinking that the two failures were related and escalating. ESF2 notification, which is emergency support functions, is the grouping of the governmental capabilities into an organizational structure to provide support resources, program implementation, and services that are most likely needed to save lives, protect property, environment, and restore essential services. The ESF2 is part of the Oregon State Interoperability Executive Council, which coordinates the resources, develops policy and guidelines recommendations, and identifies technology standards to facilitate coordinated emergency interoperability communications. It says, what is interoperability? It is the ability of emergency responders to communicate across jurisdictions and disciplines to respond to day-to-day incidents and large-scale emergencies. It allows emergency communications to take place among public safety professionals using a variety of frequency bands as needed and as authorized. In some way, every ECC, which is an emergency communication center in Oregon, is connected, thus notifying the ESF2, who can in turn and did notify the state of Oregon cybersecurity team to stand by to respond, and they began to monitor the state's network infrastructure. In the end, they were stood down as it was determined that this was a local event and related to a hardware issue and was not a malicious attack from a bad actor. Our CAD system lives in multiple environments: production, which is live, training and test. Production is the CAD system everyone uses every day. Training is exactly that. Each PSAP has a CAD training environment to use for new employees and ongoing training of the operational staff of their centers. The training environment allows staff to interact with CAD, but does not interact with the live environment. Test CAD is the test bed for new features and or to test functionality. It too does not interact with the live environment. Both the test and training environments were not fully functioning CAD. Keeping in mind that CAD is the primary tool for the dispatch center, CAD is computer-aided dispatch, and as such, its primary purpose is to help facilitate the actual call taking of emergency and non-emergency phone calls. It is the database for all prior calls for service, which is the history, the mapping functions, asset management, where and who all the police, fire, and EMS units are, response plans for police, fire, and EMS calls and locations. And finally, it has the capability to assist in the actual dispatching of units based on their discipline and call types. The actual dispatching functionality requires additional applications and functionality of a third-party vendor and equipment. The test and training environment are for the PSAP technical and operational needs for call taking, which is our primary mission. The test and training environments do not have access to functionality to fire station alerting, paging, connections to MDCs, data transfer to various record management systems, e-ticket, or other dozens of interfaces that the production CAD is connected to. By mid-morning, when it appeared that CAD was going to be down for an extended period, the decision was made to move all PSAPs to the test environment. Why did the test environment operate while production failed? The software patching is done to production first in order to get all operations back up and working in the shortest time frame. Then the tech team can update the other environments later. Thus, test and training environments were not impacted. In closing, Mike would like to acknowledge an observation that he had during this event. We work in a public safety, and everyone in this room and in our communities see the external responders during a crisis. The police officers, the firefighters, the EMTs, and the paramedics who all remain calm, professional, and mission-focused during an event. We want to see this. As I often state, the PSAPs, which is Public Safety Answering Points, and our staff are rarely seen and only heard on the radio or the telephone. The Magix Tech team consists of about 30 people who fill all sorts of roles. Our tech team consists of GIS, mapping specialists, CAD specialists, professional IT technicians, programmers, electrical engineers, and network engineers. When it was identified that the system was experiencing a hard crash and the initial technicians were unable to recover it, the all call went to the remainder of the team. On that initial day, on the 10th, the Magix phone bridge that brings everyone together remained open for all 30+ people, for all 4 PSAPs, manager staff, and the 911 administrators working the problem nonstop for the first 20 hours. Work was only stopped because the directors called for a stop for some much needed sleep. The entire group reconvened 6 hours later to finish the job. The entire time, everyone to the person was absolutely calm, cool, and professional. No emotional outbursts, collaborative, working as an entire team and totally focused on the mission. Today, this same team is assisting with the engineers and vendors, technical staff to replay the events of the day and work to future proofing the best way they can. And moving on to the CAD disruption on the 22nd. The outage that day lasted from 8 a.m. to 11. And dispatchers were kicked out of CAD and not able to log back in due to expired SSL certificates on the app server. Is anybody, what is the SSL certificate? SSL stands for the Secure Sockets Layer. An SSL certificate is a digital certificate that authenticates a website's identity and enables an encrypted connection. SSL provides a security protocol that creates an encrypted link between a web server and a web browser. SSL keeps internet connections secure and prevents criminals from reading or modifying information transferred between 2 systems. This outage was a result of human error, a typo, entering the expiration date as January 24th instead of the 22nd. Mitigation steps being put into place is monitoring the certificates with the PRTG, which is our monitoring program to provide early reminders to a large group of people, mitigating one person being responsible for the reminder. Training session for additional technical staff to demonstrate process for loading certificates, mitigating one person having the knowledge of how to do so. A tech team is writing up a documented practice for installing the certificates to not rely on remembering a once a year process. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer any technical questions about the CAD outage, but is there any comment about that?
I just want to thank you guys and your team. I think you guys did a good job dispatching when everything went down. I know some of my guys struggled with what they're on, but you guys did a very good job. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was here for the majority of it and the calls did not stop.
Correct.
All right, moving on. The radio system update for Bald Hill and Columbia Heights, the UPS battery replacement is complete. Meisner construction, they're still waiting on parts for the migration work. The phase 3 microwave upgrades as a part of the Meisner migration, a second phase of the migration work will include the MNI installation. The next gen radio project, an invitation to bid was provided to L3 Harris, EF Johnson, and Tate. They were all provided the same specifications. The deadline for submissions is March 30th. There's no update regarding the PDCC resiliency study. The CPE replacement project, which was our phone system, is complete. Our local option levy renewal is being finalized right now for the SEL 805 or to go ahead for board approval. And at this time, we would like to make a notice to all advisory committee members that this is our first call for input on the next fiscal year's budget. We're going to start working on our budget a little earlier, starting February 1st. So any input, let us know. And Mike had some comments about the winter storm. There were little to no operational issues with the most recent weather. The district did see occasional commercial power outages and disruptions, but there was not an impact to our operations. And he would like to give a word of appreciation to Merckx and Nathan for ensuring our walkways were prepared with de-icer and clearing the snow and ice and making, I'm going to add, and making beds and separating sleep spaces. And I actually forgot at the beginning of the meeting that we did have one request for an addition to the agenda. And that's actually Sheriff Pixley's request to talk about AdCom.
Thank you.
Yes.
So-
Does anybody have any questions for me via Mike or Mike via me?
Pass these around so everyone can't see them. So back last year sometime, the city of Scappoose, the sheriff's office, city of Columbia City and city of Vernonia wanted to ensure that our voices were heard as part of this next gen radio project because we went together, we contracted with engineering for AdCom. We met, I believe, in August and came up with a lot of our needs, our asks. And I think a lot of those were actually incorporated into the brief ITV. But there are a few things that was missed. So this is just kind of a quick and down and dirty list of kind of some of the things that we still see going forward that could be problematic with the radio system. If anyone online needs or wants a copy, please let me know, shoot me an email, make sure they get one. Really, this is just kind of for your information. So you have something tangible in your hands.
It's okay.
Roundtable. So, there's now time for roundtable, start with you, Corey. Welcome.
Thank you. Your own emergency manager, Columbia County. Yeah, we lucked out as far as the winter storm. I was watching kind of chaos going on all around us and I was poised and ready to spring into action. And I kept getting really relatively good messaging. When we had, some ice issues, I think the one big hiccup we had was the way that the rain came and then the freeze came, the snow came and the freeze came. We didn't have an opportunity to lay down ice melt because it would have just washed away. So the roads department had to hold off on that. But then when it was time to get out there and do it, that freeze hit so hard, it froze all the sand that they had stored up, and the sand in the sanders froze up. And so that was a really good lesson learned for the county. It's something that we're looking at for the future on how to mitigate against that. But everything else, obviously, Apiary Road was the big damage for us. It was had a partial failure, and then with that last storm and some blockage that occurred, we had a full failure of that road. And because of that, and going back, we'd originally got an emergency declaration on Apiary Road for the closure so the work could be done on it. And then we redid that declaration, and I anticipate one being issued tomorrow. And then we've done initial damage assessments, and we'll be turning that into the state for assistance and going after funding from that. So that's kind of the big thing that's going on. We're working up with some grants, getting ready to look at this resiliency hub grant that the state will be issuing. So watch for some announcements there. We'll be putting some notices out to the communities in the county as well as citizens that are interested in being a part of this Resiliency Hub grant. So I think that'll be a really fun grant project to work with the county on.
Nathan, Skip, do you have anything to say?
Nothing more.
All right. Just for me, a couple of things. One, I thank you guys for doing a hell of a job. Two, during these kind of winter storm weekends, if your dispatchers need rides here or home, let us know. More than happy to help out.
I know, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Couple other things that just kind of food for thought with this IPB that just recently went out. I don't know if there's any location or AVL services available or put into the ITB, but I think that would be a very good thing. One for officer safety, but two, it would assist us in setting up a perimeter. You know, with this last murder that we had in Scappoose, it was hard to keep tabs of everyone going every which way. This would have kind of in real time been able to help us close our perimeter in and really kind of lock down the out here in the state for this. Okay. Also, I don't know if schools are included in the proposal or not. I think if not, I think it's a big miss. I know you don't have anything to do with it, but I think if we bring schools on board, I think that would be help us close some of the funding gaps there. So everyone wants to throw money at schools, especially school safety. I think anything we can do to help mitigate that and offset the cost to our taxpayers would be I think. Also, I haven't seen the ITB, so I'm sorry. I don't know if you have any of the answers or not. But I know in a lot of the contracts that we're doing recently, there's at the end of the contract term, there's a replacement or renewal of refreshment of equipment. I don't know if that is available in the ITBs that they put out or not.
I don't know that. Mike did give me a couple of things to share with you. That they're prioritizing public safety agencies. I don't know the answer to the other question.
I
And
can
then,
do these to Mike. So,
yeah, sure. And then the other one was, he said to let you know that there will be a radio cache.
thank you. I will send the rest of these to him.
That would be
I
better.
had to make myself a note, so.
Thank you.
And you talked, I had to make other notes because some things were wrong. So, I think that's all I have.
Any other members have comment? Joe, did I miss anything? Oh, I covered everything.
The motion for adjournment or
Just you can announce adjourn and then give the time.
does anyone else have anything else for the order?
From the fire side, I just want to echo the same thing as Sheriff Pixley during the winter storm and the cat outages. Your staff, the floor did amazing. Unit tracking, trying to make sure everybody was doing what they needed to do. So
Thank you. They were actually, their attitude in there as their ops manager, I was very impressed. How they handled it. Thank you.
Nothing further. We will adjourn at 12:29 PM. Thank you all.
First job. My first time.